Uh, uh. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
What's up, everybody? It's the Morning Deuce, July 5th, Tuesday. Hope everyone enjoyed the long weekend. I know it's the tough time right now as you guys all head back to work. The worst, July 5th, when everyone has to go back to work because such a fun holiday. Amazing 3-day weekend. Everybody's outside if the weather's good, drinking, eating, sunbathing. It's the worst. It's the longest 4-day work week of the year. If anyone got to check out the hot dog eating contest on ESPN, know some people hate it. Some people love it. But if you know anything about me, you know I think Barstool Sports is pretty great. And one of their bloggers, Big Cat, he pulled some connections together and got a seat at the Nathan's hot dog eating contest on Coney Island. The one where the guy ate 70 hot dogs in 10 minutes to break the record for the competition and win. Well, that wasn't him, but considering he'd never been in a hot dog contest before in his life, and I think he found out 6 or 7 days before that they were going to let him participate, he builds it up and he goes on stage, intro, everything. Worth following. Definitely worth finding him on Twitter. But Big Cat runs up there, getting ready to do his thing. Meanwhile, betting lines were actually open for him. You could bet how many hot dogs he would eat over under. And they even had it on ESPN in those games they have where if you pick the 20 correct decisions right in a row, you get $1 million or something like that. He was there, was like, will he eat more or less than 9 hot dogs? And that was going like 50-50. And then it was like, in terms of money. And then it was, will he eat more or less than 11 and a half hot dogs? And you got like really good money if he goes over, and not that much if he goes under because no one thought he would get over 11 and a half. The contest starts, and he is there's another guy at Barstool who eats pizza all the time and ranks it, and so he does that with hot dogs, but he bites into every hot dog and just says it's a 10 all the time because he says that every hot dog he's ever had is a 10. So he's at this contest. He's made these great pump-up videos. He's got a fedora on. He's ready to rock. They start 1 minute in, like a minute and a half in. This woman climbs up on stage and sprays fake blood all over him, and then like 2 or 3 other people try to storm the stage. Turns out there were PETA protesters. They cover him in fake blood and knock like all his food on the ground. He basically said that he didn't understand it wasn't part of the competition until like a couple seconds later, and then was like, oh wait, this isn't supposed to happen. Like he had no idea what was going on. Continues to eat, never stops eating, eats, and then finishes 10 minutes. He did 12 hot dogs, so he broke the 11 and a half. The irony was his boss, who obviously makes a crap ton of money from this promotional event because they obviously get eyeballs and traction to the website. Well, his boss made this big statement about how he's betting a bunch of money under and bet a ton of money for him to eat less than 11 and a half hot dogs, and he ate 12. Extremely entertaining. I mean, the guy's awesome on the internet. You have to follow him. I know it's weird to just spend the beginning of this podcast talking about it, but to wake up and see this guy eat hot dogs and see the internet and Twitter freak out about it and all the videos and stuff he put together, their content is just so good. So worth a peek if you're on the Twitter machine today. Pretty crazy that a random guy who talks on the internet can all of a sudden do these like sort of elite spectacle traditional events, but that's the world we live in today. Something else kind of interesting. So I'm going to direct you guys to an article. I'm going to put it in the description of the YouTube video and on the Facebook. My great friend Kyle is teaching English in South Korea. And this kind of made me think of 4th of July, and he put it out on Saturday. but it has a loose tie to it. But he wrote this incredible article. It's really, really, really good. He's a really, really gifted writer, and it's about his experience in a Korean bathhouse. Basically, I think he called it "My Naked Night in Korea," and he does an unbelievably good job of personifying he just gets you into his zone of how he's feeling. He's really candid with his experiences and how he feels just in general, so you totally empathize with him. The writing is great. He paints a beautiful picture of vivid imagery of all these naked dudes, Korean men. But it's it's funny. It's like kind of suspenseful. It's well done. It sucked me in right from the beginning. It feels like it should be like a Grantland article or some type of like big, expansive feature piece. It's really well written. And it fits for the 4th of July a little bit because personally, one of the things, I think is so great about America is that we can see kind of the wonderful things of all these other cultures because we are a nation of immigrants, and we get these opportunities to experience all of those and have found the good in so many other cultures and assimilated into ours and continue to do so forever. And I think that experience for Kyle, clearly, if you read, you'll know it was an experience that probably made him definitely made him get outside himself, learn a lot more about himself. But you also understand, how different and what being an American is when you go somewhere else and culturally change, some of your norms. I mean, I think I learned a lot more about what it meant to be an American and being an American when I lived in Spain for 6 months. And tried all these things I never tried and did all these experiences I never had and worked with all these cultures in a way that I hadn't before. So you kind of understand and appreciate what it means sometimes when you go away to look back. And I think that article, I'm sure Kyle would say, he understood the difference between America and Korea very clearly in that bathhouse. So definitely worth a read. Yeah, I think also on the sort of America assimilating cultures, this video is going around of John Cena, the professional wrestler and movie actor, and he does this really great job. This video, I don't really know why he made it, but it's a 4th of July video, and he's talking about different things, and he says, close your eyes and picture what an American is, and think of who it is, and blah, 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 and what's your average American. And then he starts to break it down by numbers, and he's like, well, it's actually 51% of Americans are women, so it's probably a woman. And then there's all these minorities and all these different people with different sexual orientations and religious beliefs and handicapped people and people with different anything. And it's kind of crazy because you realize that we are the homogenous melting pot. And it's just a good example of that, of just accepting and embracing the fact that the country that we live in today in the United States is a homogenous melting pot of all these different cultures. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about at the end of part 1. Those couple fun things from the weekend. For part 2 today, it's going to be brief. July 5th, I always think of my grandmother. It's the day she passed away, 2013, so 3 years ago now. But she was an amazing woman. She had macular degeneration, went blind at 80, and went to an overnight sleepaway camp to learn how to live her life as basically a newly blind person, and ended up living alone until 94, but completely on her own, just because of that experience. She was amazing. She never said no to anything. The 2 biggest things I think I learned from her was, first, she literally woke up every day trying to be like a better, smarter person, even when she was in an assisted living home at 97 and had just moved there. She was legitimately trying to be a better person every single day, like still working on parts of her personality, still developing, still trying to learn skills. It was amazing to watch. She never really lost that. If you're not growing, you're dying or whatever. She never really chose to stop growing. Pretty cool. And then she always used to say, "To love and be loved is the greatest gift in the world." So I think that's the best way to head into the day, to wipe it clean. To love and be loved is the greatest gift in the world. And that's it. Happy July 5th. Deuce out.
Yeah, I know you like to thank you. Don't stay.